Galing pasarap yun. Well, kasi nisigi lang yung control.
Okay, okay.
That's not a chainsaw. Hello?
Imagine seeking peace in nature, only to find yourself racing a massive tornado, or watching a pale, unearthly figure crawl toward your isolated window. What starts as a quiet getaway can instantly become a terrifying camping encounter. If the unimaginable found you in the dark, how would you escape? Some of the most terrifying camping encounters come from nature itself, where extreme weather can rapidly turn a simple trip into a disaster. The following case shows just how quickly and unpredictably a storm can intensify. Chris was following a fast-strengthening supercell across western Illinois, pushing forward to capture the ideal shot. The footage was uploaded to the YouTube channel High Risk Chris on April 27, 2023. After missing visually striking tornadoes in Iowa just days before, he was determined to make up for it. That determination would end up affecting his judgment in the worst possible way. After first aiming for southeast Iowa, he crossed the Mississippi River into western Illinois, where a rapidly developing supercell was forming.
Getting lower and lower. I think right around this time is when it started to produce tornadoes. I'm pretty sure this is a tornado here. You can see the lowered wall cloud with ground circulation underneath.
He kept trying to stay ahead of the storm, but the available roads were extremely limited, and the system kept closing the distance. Eventually, he was overtaken by the core of the storm, where hail the size of golf balls was striking his vehicle. Because of the hail, he was forced to slow down. Otherwise, his windshield would have been at risk.
This is definitely a tornado.
The tornado briefly tightened and reached the ground, showing clear signs of strengthening. It was quickly increasing in size.
Wow, look at this thing! Dude! It's coming right at us! Yeah, this is. We're good, we got time. This thing is strong! Alright, we gotta move. Gotta move. Oh my god! Oh my god!
He realized he was in a dangerous position, but he became fixated on the tornado and waited far too long to act.
Oh! What? Alright, this thing's real f***ing close.
He tried to remain calm, though his adrenaline was still surging. The tornado was positioned directly to his south and moving northeast at around 50 miles per hour. The safest option would have been to move away from it, either heading north, west, or even staying where he was. For some reason, he still believed he could outrun it, and he made what was likely the worst decision of his storm-chasing career. He attempted to race it toward the east.
This right here was probably my last potential moment of escape. I could have turned north on this road, but because I was going so fast, I missed the turn. And then I got to this next stop sign, where I became aware of the horrible situation I was in.
Oh my god!
The tornado was less than a quarter mile to his southwest. Vehicles speeding away ahead of it blocked his route. In that moment, he made a rapid decision to turn around and try to position himself behind the storm.
Alright, we're going back! We're going back! We're going back!
After the camera cut, the vehicle rolled for nearly 20 seconds. It felt unreal, like something out of a film, except it was actually happening. The following day, he returned to the location, and the full weight of what had happened set in. His only vehicle, the one he had relied on since beginning storm chasing, was completely gone. He walked away without any injuries, and he owed that entirely to the car. The tornado was later rated EF3, with peak winds reaching 160 miles per hour. He was extremely fortunate to survive. The incident forced him to rethink how he approaches storm chasing. The wreckage left behind became a lasting reminder of the day his urgency nearly cost him everything. If you were in that camping encounter, would you have made the same choice or stepped away sooner? If you think darkness or extreme weather are what make a camping encounter dangerous, then prepare yourself for what comes next. This involves Ethan Ryder, the creator behind this disturbing footage. He is known for capturing raw moments that make viewers question what they see. But on one occasion, he encountered something far more disturbing than he expected. At the beginning of the video, Ethan appears shaken. He is breathing hard. His hands are unsteady. He is clearly afraid of what might be outside. When he finally opens the door, he notices a small cat. It is a brief moment of calm before the real shock appears farther out in the field.
And I look up. Fucking see this shit. I'm gonna go look over. Oh, y'all see that shit though? Is this disappearing? Nobody at all. This shit is scary.
In an open field, a dark, human-like figure stands completely still. It faces Ethan without any movement or reaction. It remains there for around 15 to 20 seconds. Then, it slowly disappears from view. After building enough courage, Ethan walks to the exact spot where the figure stood. He finds nothing, as if it had never existed. Some believe this video could have been staged. But the figure's unnatural stillness and calm presence make the moment deeply unsettling, especially in broad daylight in an open field. If you were there in that same moment, would you trust what you saw or start to question it? Late one night on a remote property in Alabama's Cumberland Plateau, a homeowner received motion alerts from backyard security cameras. When they reviewed the footage, a pale human-like figure appeared across multiple cameras around the property. At first, they thought it was a coyote, but after looking more closely, it became clear the figure was not any animal. Strangely, their dog stayed completely calm, making the situation even more unsettling.
There's Lucy right there.
Yeah, but you see where it's standing?
Yeah, it's looking in the window at you.
It's out our window. And the dog's just staring.
So why is the damn dog not barking?
The most disturbing detail was that the figure was not just moving around, it was staring directly into their window. Instead of walking normally, it ran, crawled, and moved unpredictably through the tree line, appearing on multiple cameras over time. The property sits in an isolated forest with no nearby roads. Some viewers suggested AI or a prank, but the consistent footage from different angles makes those explanations less likely. Many people linked it to Appalachian folklore and similar camping encounters where others reported seeing it. To this day, the figure's identity remains unknown, with no further sightings or answers. This case leaves behind a quiet sense that something doesn't fully make sense, yet nothing clearly proves otherwise. If you were in that same situation, would you try to explain it, or just accept that some things don't have clear answers? In this footage, we take you back to Lee, the creator behind the YouTube channel Abandoned World Explorer, known for documenting disturbing camping encounters during late-night explorations. On February 26, 2021, Lee set out with his friend Dan to revisit an app they had avoided for some time, Randonautica. That night quickly turned into an experience neither of them could explain or control.
So there's literally footprints in and out of it, but it is a public. Absolutely freezing here as well, I'm not even joking. There's the thing with these maps, it's literally like, what should you do, just walk over and down, or do you want to go straight down? I can't even see nothing, but honestly, these really freak me out. As you're hearing Gook's, mine's shocking. Oh, it's real nice to see the ground. Honestly, people, explorers.
After the app confirmed to them that they had reached their destination, however, nothing visible matched what they expected from a point of interest. Instead, there were subtle signs, footprints, disturbed ground, and an unnatural stillness. The isolation became more noticeable, and with it a growing feeling that they were being guided somewhere specific, not randomly, but intentionally. Although the area felt occupied to them, no one was immediately visible. The more they searched, the stronger the sense became that they were not alone.
There's someone over there. There is. Sure, that's a tent then. There's some people there. Hello? Is that a chainsaw? Ain't chainsaw. Is that a chainsaw? Ain't a chainsaw, Dan. It's not a chainsaw. Run. Dan, run! Where the fuck were they? They're way here, man. Unlock the car.
The tension increased as sounds began to rise from deeper within the trees, faint at first, then slowly becoming clearer. The confusion of the situation grew to a point where nothing made complete sense. Multiple individuals remained hidden within the darkness, observing while sudden mechanical and aggressive sounds suggested equipment powering up, possibly a chainsaw or another motorized tool. The purpose behind these actions remained unclear, but the timing did not. The two realized the danger they were in and chose to leave immediately without hesitation.
Yeah, to the tree where we was. As we was coming out there, there's sounded like there's one over there, and it sounded like there's more than one in there. Yeah. Hello? Where?
Behind us, twigs in that. He was chopping something, wasn't he?
Guys and girls, literally, we've just got away so quick. We've made a phone call to the police. The police are going to go there now. They told us to stay away. I don't know. It was so hard to see anything, but I didn't see the tent, but Dan see the tent 100%. This is why I don't do running autocar. So many times we go out and find nothing, and another time we come across weird stuff like this. I'm not even kidding. Dan said they was sounding like they was chopping up stuff. It sounded like they were digging in the woods. Like I could hear is this, but maybe as you said, chopping up stuff for a fire. I literally could not see anyone. My eyes, I don't know why. I don't know if it's this camera light walking through the woods was too bright.
As they moved away, the sounds followed behind them, reinforcing the feeling that they were not meant to stay. Whether it was a warning or something more intentional remained uncertain. In the end, Lee and Dan left the area. Keeping a safe distance and trusting their instincts likely helped them get through the night unharmed. However, choosing to enter an unknown place late at night is not a smart decision. So if you were there, would you have stayed longer or left the moment things started to feel off? One night, Eleanor Vance heard unusual noises ending with a loud crash outside her home. After finding nothing during a quick check, she reviewed her security footage, only to uncover something far more disturbing than she expected.
Sí, ya lo descargué ya.
Aquí ya casi del año pasado, aquí. Bueno, no, ni siquiera vio el portón. Oh.
The footage appeared normal at first, showing the quiet outside Eleanor's home. Then suddenly, a strange figure appeared in front of her garden gate and seemed to pass straight through it, moving slowly toward the house. As it got closer, the figure gave off a faint, unnatural glow before slowly fading away until it disappeared completely, leaving the garden silent once again. Eleanor states the gate was locked, making the sight even more confusing. What the figure was remains unknown. If you saw this yourself, would you try to explain it or just accept it as something you can't fully understand? One day, a group of people were stopped on the side of a road somewhere in Russia, and from what it looked like, they had a flat tire and were waiting for assistance to arrive. While they were there, they noticed a strange light coming from the nearby forest, so naturally they began recording. But soon they realized what that light really was, and dealing with a flat tire was nothing compared to what happened next. The fireball was later described online as a rare phenomenon known as ball lightning, also referred to as centella globular. It is an unusual atmospheric electrical event that appears as a floating, glowing sphere of energy, usually during or after storms. It is so rare that many people don't believe it exists, mainly because there are very few clear recordings of it, but this footage feels different, as it appears very natural even when it comes into contact with the car. It actually struck the car and caused it to catch fire. Just imagine being in that situation. First, your day is already ruined by a flat tire, and then suddenly your car catches fire because of a floating ball of electricity. Honestly, at that point, it might be easier to say something unbelievable caused it. If you saw this yourself, would you try to understand it or just accept what happened? Nick, the creator of the YouTube channel Beyond, explores eerie, abandoned places and forgotten locations, but one trip would become far more unsettling than expected. In one episode, Nick crawls into a network of narrow caves while his two friends remain outside. The passages are so tight that he has to remove his backpack to fit through, and before long he can no longer see or hear his friends, even after calling out, leaving him completely alone deep inside the cave.
Ребята! Ребят! Ребят!
Блин, ты с дыркой. Ой, блядь, какая хуйня там. Я так испугался, ребята. Смотрите.
As he moves further in, Nick has to crawl on his stomach beneath sleeping bats, a disturbing reminder of what lives inside the cave. But as if that was not enough, strange things soon begin to happen, as his camera suddenly starts acting up while he is filming a specific section, adding to the growing sense of tension.
Мне кажется, ребята, пошли не сюда. Здесь вообще тупик. Ой, блядь. А, это камень. Да хули я так боюсь. Видите эту херню? Сейчас вам ее покажу. Тут с камерой. Как будто моторчик в камере завелся и начал ходить туда-сюда.
Later, as he attempts to climb a rocky ledge, it feels as if someone is dropping stones down toward him from above. An unexplainable and frightening event, and the situation continues to worsen when his flashlight begins to fade, throwing him into near-complete darkness as he starts hearing unusual sounds echoing throughout the cave.
Спустился с этой горы, а теперь в такую же гору надо подниматься. Ох.
Ребят!
Eventually, Nick stops trying to find his friends and decides to head back the way he entered. But when he reaches his backpack, he is faced with another unsettling discovery. Someone has clearly been going through his belongings.
К моменту я хочу сказать, что здесь тупик, и мне надо возвращаться быстрее назад.
Nick later says that even though he did not notice it at the time, his camera may have captured someone watching him from within the darkness of the cave.
Ой, все. Да ну, подождите, ребята. Что за бред? Что за... Меня все вытащили из рюкзака. А, бля. Вроде ничего не взяли. Ребят, здесь кто-нибудь есть, ребят?
So what do you think? Was someone really following Nick? Or was it just his imagination in the cave's heavy silence? Either way, the feeling of being watched in such an isolated place is deeply unsettling. Nick made it out safely, but what truly happened in that cave remains unknown. Sometimes in moments like this, it is hard to tell if something is really there or if your mind is filling in the gaps. And once that feeling starts, it can be difficult to ignore. So if you were in that situation, would you keep going or turn back immediately? Grumpy MTB is a channel that regularly uploads content focused on mountain biking, riding trails, tracks, mountains, and a range of high adrenaline environments. But this time he captured something completely unexpected, and also something important to keep in mind when you're out riding or hiking on trails, especially if you're smaller or a kid, as this situation quickly turned into a dangerous camping encounter. He was riding his bike on a snowy trail on a cold, cloudy day, when suddenly something happened, turning what seemed like a normal outdoor moment into a tense and unpredictable camping encounter.
Okay. Get your dogs off me. Get your dogs off me. Jesus Christ.
It's not them, it's the puppies.
Fucking. You gotta get control of these fucking dogs. Get Come here. Just hit him. Get off.
Stop it.
Fucking hell. No, stop, get it. Get off. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Sorry, I think you'll be, it's gonna need me a bit more than sorry. Me.
The situation was eventually brought under control, and the owners were able to regain control of their dogs after several tense moments during which the biker was bitten. About a year later, the uploader shared an update explaining what occurred after the incident. The dogs had been temporarily looked after by the individuals in the video, while a charity focused on rehoming Malinois searched for appropriate permanent homes for them. Interestingly, the biker was even able to speak with the woman who runs that rehoming charity. A few months later, she was very apologetic and confirmed that the dogs were immediately removed from those foster carers after the incident. Since then, both Malinois have been successfully rehomed with experienced owners who have trained them properly, and both are doing well. The handlers involved also apologized, exchanged information with the biker after the video, and covered the cost of his damaged equipment. Fortunately, he made a full recovery. Given the weather and the remote location, it's likely the foster carers did not expect anyone else to be around, and it may have seemed like a safe place to let the dogs off leash. But as this camping encounter shows, things do not always go as planned. The biker was fortunate that these were younger dogs. If they had been fully grown and more powerful, the injuries could have been far worse. It serves as a strong reminder to always stay aware of dogs in outdoor environments, and for dog owners to be careful about where and when they allow dogs off leash, especially if there is any chance other people might pass through. If you were there, would you stay calm or try to get away immediately? Tim Saver, a night security guard at an abandoned warehouse, started documenting unusual events during his night shifts on TikTok. What began as strange noises soon became more unsettling when he followed the activity to the attic and discovered something terrifying. After that, the incidents intensified. Tim claimed he was attacked from behind multiple times. One night, after hearing the noises again, he took out his phone and began recording, trying to understand what was happening around him in this increasingly tense camping encounter.
Please protect me, God. I guess we're doing this. Hello? Shit. What the f... Whoa! Hello?
Taking a deep breath, he called out into the darkness, unsure if he actually wanted an answer. Suddenly, a mannequin shifted and fell. A glass frame shattered. Disturbing sounds followed, including what sounded like a woman crying in a rough voice. Terrified, he ran. Weeks later, during another night shift, the fear returned. He called out once more. The silence broke with a sudden shocking moment.
Hello?
In the darkness, Tim saw what looked like a shadowy human figure sitting on a metal cart. When he turned on his flashlight, it disappeared. That moment was enough. He quit the very next day, ending what had become one of the most unsettling experiences he had ever faced. What he witnessed remains unknown. It could have been a prank. It could have been his imagination, or something more sinister inside the abandoned warehouse. Whatever it was, the experience ensured Tim would never return. If you were there, would you keep going or leave before things got worse? The clip comes from Sasquatch and Paranormal in Wineberry Hollow, a United States-based channel that records reported cryptid sightings and unexplained events around a secluded mountain property. It is February 15th, 2026, in a rural mountainous region of the United States.
As soon as I ended that live, I hear something up in there. It's okay, girl. It's okay, girl. It's okay, girl. As soon as I ended that live. Hey, bear. That's a deer. Is there another deer up here? Yeah. There's two. I'm sliding everywhere. I dig my heels into this icy stuff. Okay, so I was sitting on the porch and I hear this weird grumbly, like, come from that mountaintop. And I know that up there is nothing for mountains for miles around. So I went on live and did a live for a minute, hoping that I would catch something on.
Shortly after ending a live broadcast from her porch, the investigator notices an unusual sound coming from the mountainside behind her home. She describes it as a deep, low rumble echoing through the wooded slope. The land behind the house extends into miles of mountain terrain with little to no nearby human presence. Since nothing occurred during the live session, she begins recording again, explaining that the disturbance started immediately after the stream ended. Carefully stepping onto the icy ground, she moves toward the hillside with a flashlight. Several deer are visible slowly crossing the slope. Ahead of her, the surroundings remain mostly still, aside from the sound of shifting ice beneath her feet and occasional movement in the trees. The atmosphere feels quiet, but uneasy.
It's a deer right there. I see it. There's some eye shine. Look how big those eye shines are. Look how far off the ground they are. Oh, they're behind a tree. Hello? Yeah. It's not showing up on here.
As she tries to adjust the camera, she claims the presence appears to move farther back, staying just outside of clear view. Although she says she can still see the reflection with her eyes, it does not clearly appear on camera. She considers the possibility that whatever is there may be deliberately staying hidden, and her tone becomes more cautious.
Whatever that was, something threw something. I don't know if y'all heard it. Right after I heard that weird noise. I'm leaving, but I got something thrown at me. It's pretty strange. My battery's about to die. But at least, make sure they're okay. Man, that eye shine was incredibly huge. It was off the ground. Pretty big, pretty high off the ground. It was weird to me. And that one deer would not go near it. She's acting funny. That one deer would not.
A short time later, another unusual sound occurs, and she reacts suddenly, stating that something has been thrown in her direction. The situation shifts from simply observing eye shine to what she believes may be direct interaction. At that point, she decides it is best to leave the area immediately.
The one deer would not go near it. There was one standing up here and one below it, and whatever that was in the middle, and it threw something. That was weird. I knew something was up there. I knew something was in there. What's that? Oh, I love you, so I'm going to fall and give your loved ones a big hug and a kiss, and remember to be kind to one another, and good night.
With her camera battery running low and the icy hillside becoming harder to walk on, she heads back toward the safety of her home. During the walk, she explains that her main concern is keeping her family safe, especially with the unexplained activity happening so close to the property. Although there is no clear visual evidence, The mix of strange sounds, eye shine at an unusual height, and the reported thrown object leaves the experience unresolved and deeply unsettling for the investigator. Maybe it was something reacting to movement in the dark, or something staying just far enough away to avoid being seen clearly. But if it really kept its distance on purpose, then what was it waiting for, and why did it only move when she did? The chilling video comes from Connor Doe's Adventure, a US-based outdoor and wildlife channel focused on immersive experiences in remote natural settings. The content typically captures real-time encounters with animals while traveling through forests, rivers, and mountainous terrain with minimal narration. It is August 29th, 2019, in the Grand Teton National Park area, Wyoming, United States.
What's up, everyone? Good morning. It is Tuesday in the Teton. This is the view I get to wake up to. I put a chair just right on the edge of where I actually fell yesterday. Yeah, it's just gorgeous view. I wish I had a better camera because literally, like, all the stars, like, covering the sky, and you could even see the galaxy, like, the edge of the Milky Way behind the mountain. It was beautiful. It's, what time is it? 9:35 in the morning, and, hopefully we'll go see some, animals today.
Coming in here and...
I was gonna say, I'll go the opposite direction. Alright, everyone, so we're here at Jackson Lodge. It's a nice lodge. And then you get this great view. Look at that.
Come here first thing in the morning and then in the evening.
Marine.
Not long after, he notices unusual behavior from a group of elk gathered near a cluster of trees. Moments later, a large grizzly bear steps out from the forest and begins tracking the herd. The situation escalates quickly as the bear suddenly rushes across the meadow, causing the elk to scatter and flee. Filming from a distance, Connor records the chase as the herd moves toward the tree line. The bear eventually stops pursuing as the elk disappear into the forest. The moment provides a raw look at predator and prey interaction unfolding naturally in the wild.
Alright guys, well here's a moose. It's a big moose.
What ate the moose?
A policeman car. He's big.
Dude, that bridge.
Yeah, we need to go on that bridge.
We get a couple shots.
How did we get there? Well, now we're closer to the moose. It's right there, right in front of us. It's cool. And now we're even closer. It looks farther, but he's maybe like 20 feet in front of us. We're on the bridge and he's right there. Yeah, that is a big rack. Another deer and a duck.
Later in the day, Connor faces another tense situation when he comes across a massive moose standing beside a bridge and a nearby stream. The animal is roughly 20 feet away, close enough that any sudden movement could trigger a defensive response. Connor stays calm and moves slowly while continuing to film, capturing detailed slow-motion footage that emphasizes the moose's size and powerful presence. The moment highlights how unpredictable wildlife encounters can be, even when no aggression is shown. From watching a grizzly bear chase elk across an open meadow to standing just meters away from a towering moose, the day reveals both the beauty and unpredictability of wild environments. Encounters like these serve as a reminder that in remote areas, humans are only visitors, and the true dominance of the landscape belongs to the animals that live there. When moments like this happen so close, how much control do you really have? And how quickly could things change if one small detail went differently? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.